Fredrick D. Moorefield Jr., the worst. He's been employed by the Department of Defense since 2012, and chances are you've never heard his name until about 5 seconds ago. Well, plenty of people know his name right now, all for the wrong reasons, obviously. Now, Moorefield was recently arrested and charged with something just absolutely deplorable. He was operating a dogfighting ring for decades, which allegedly, at this point still, included the electrocution of the losing dogs by means of jumper cables. Now, this sicko was murdering animals for years and years and years, and no one inside the DOD knew about this? Who vetted this guy? Right here. Hey, it's the same people who vet the CNN producers. How does someone so morally bankrupt ascend to a high-level position within the DOD? And how do you feel knowing that our nation's defense is partially entrusted to a man who literally has the blood of dogs on his hands? How can we be sure that there aren't more Fredrick Moorefields lurking around our federal government? Apparently, they don't vet any of them. It's just hopefully they can be exposed. Joining me now, former U.S. Army Lieutenant Colonel Tony Shaffer, alongside former U.S. Air Force Brigadier General Newsmax contributor General Blaine Holt. All right, General, I am disgusted by this. How did this happen?
Only kids could be worse if in this crime. This depravity is an amazing thing to me, Carl. And to your point, national security risk, because this guy could be compromised. Think about all the clearances that you have to hold to be the CIO of the Defense Department. It's absolutely ridiculous, and we've got to go.
Yeah, Tony, this is big news. I'm sitting here looking at this, and obviously he previously worked for the Air Force for nearly 2 decades before joining the DOD. I don't know if any of you either guys know this guy, but this is atrocious.
No, this guy, he holds the keys to the kingdom, Carl. Everything now is digitized. He is the information guy that helps run the backbone of the Pentagon. And we're going to come to find, yes, people knew about this. There's a problem with the vetting process and, frankly, promotion process. People are often promoted on how they can dodge responsibility rather than accept it. And I'm just going to say it, affirmative action is alive and well within DOD. That's one of the areas which Lloyd Austin has said they're going to preserve it. So you're not going to be promoted necessarily because of your skill and ability. You're going to be promoted because there's a quota that someone's trying to fill, and they will overlook this sort of thing. Look, Carl, I've been in briefings with senior executives where I'm in their office and I'm briefing on a black operation. They don't want to hear about it. They're so afraid of it, they get up and leave out of their office because they don't want knowledgeability. They don't want to be pushed. So I have a suspicion that this guy is of that, I just want to survive and get along class, and that's why he's where he's at.
General, I saw something the other day that actually really caught my attention here. So the Navy SEALs, obviously, we're at the tip of the spear. We do some really bad stuff to really bad people. And the Navy right now is going to start testing people for more, they're going to investigate people for steroid use, and they're going to start doing random drug testing for this, which, by the way, is a very expensive test. Here's my thing in this. Look, when you're going in to kill bad guys, I don't really care if you do steroids. If you're right next to me and you can save my life, I have a ton of friends, frankly, who did them while we were overseas to get the edge over somebody trying to kill you. And now they're going to criminalize this? Whose side are these generals on?
Well, they're certainly not warfighters, Carl, and they're not focused on the mission. They're not focused on the mission. They're not focused on readiness. They're focused on the wrong things. When you criminalize our force, that's when we get into trouble. That's when we're weakened and imperiled around the world.
Yeah. Tony, this is a big deal, though, because you have people like, look, I suffered through multiple injuries. I have no rotator cuffs, ACL's gone, back injuries, head injuries, traumatic brain injuries. If someone next to me wants to do a little juice to get a little bit ahead, as long as they're safe and not stupid about it, why should the Navy criminalize them for that?
Well, the issue is, obviously, do they have the cutting edge, and how do you develop that? Look, you and I were in units where they had relaxed grooming standards. Do I care if someone shaves if they can kick ass? No. Do I care if they're wearing a baseball cap from Lake Havasu kicking ass? I don't care. And this is an extension of that. The idea is we need to pick out the people who can get the job done, give them the tools, let them hone their body and their ability as it needs to be effective and win. So the idea now that you're going to look at the force and decide, oh my goodness, this is a social issue we don't like, and it's going to actually impact badly on our ability to kill bad guys, it's not a good idea. This is the peacetime military looking for things to antagonize the special operations forces is the way I see it.
Yeah, and I think it's pretty bad. And on top of all that, like, look, I think that this is generally, steroids are generally a bad thing for most people. But when you're going into the worst places in the world and you need that edge to not come home in a bag, sorry, not sorry, I'm fine with it.
Right.
Colonel Schafel, General Holt, appreciate you being here.